Welcome to Mastering Your Monday podcast. And this is the show that talks about boundaries, work-life balance, and living a life where you have control. This is for highly driven professionals who want to develop a more balanced professional and personal life and live out their true values. Those who are ready to grab the reins and change the status quo. The professional who's ready to have a life again and who's ready to take a stand, living in a way that you feel respected, valued, and fulfilled each and every day. We talk about topics like setting boundaries, taking risks, life management, and all the tips, techniques, and strategies to help you master your Monday, one day at a time. Hey, Michelle O'Neill here. Are you ready for a great conversation? Come on, pull up a chair, ringside that is, and let's talk the real deal today on episode 8, how to be empowered by your environment. You know, your environment, your physical environment actually affects your mood and your behavior. And one of the things I notice is the first action that all incoming presidents do is to change their environment to actually reflect their personality and the influences that they want to subconsciously reflect upon. You know, that usually starts with, well, the Oval Office, one place that they spend most of their time. And this year, it really hit me how important this was because it was so highlighted in numerous articles written in the media. And I kept seeing it over and over again. It just served to remind me just how important our environment is to our psyche. We can't afford to let that opportunity to influence our own selves pass us by. It helps to build ourselves up, to cultivate our well being as and what we have to say. And in our homes, in our workplace, even our kids at school, we take the time to do this. And I'm going to prove that to you, especially when we have decided that we are going to roost. So once you've decided this is my place to be, this is where I want to be, we start making it ours. Remember when you went to high school and you got this locker? And what is one of the first things you did? You start putting pictures of things that were important to you. You put your favorite ring or your favorite necklace or something that was important to you, and you would put it in there. Your favorite football, your favorite what's that thing we always have? Stuffed animal. All those things that were important to you went into your locker. So, not only that, but we do that in our office. When you go into your office, you go to a new job and you have a new space, we stake our claim. In fact, I like to say we mark our territory, just like your dog does. We mark our space, we mark our territories. And how do we do that? We do that with photos, we do that with things that speak to us, whether it's sayings or whether it's a favorite coffee cup that we had that says the greatest mom or the greatest dad. Whatever it is, we bring to that office to be important to us. Me, I like to bring my coffee, my own coffee pot there, my favorite mug, my favorite pen, something. And we usually start with our favorite pen, but I bring something to kind of remind me that this is my space. And then we bring something from the outside too, something to remind us of the peacefulness of the outside. You know, something like a plant, our favorite plant, or something like that, our favorite rock. I have a rock that has some writing on it, but I like it. And then we incorporate our hobbies too. So if we like, say, surfing, we have a picture of us surfing, or we have this mini little surfboard. I have one friend that loves Wonder Woman. And so everything in her workspace, there's all kind of figurines of Wonder Woman. And then another friend, she loves Tweety Bird, and everything in her office, there's 50 million little Tweety Birds around there. But she staked her claim on her space, even to the point that a lot of times, don't touch my mouse. You don't want someone to touch your mouse. You don't want someone to touch your keyboard because you don't know where their hands been, what they do, when's the last time they scratched or whatever. But you don't want them to touch your keyboard. You don't want them to touch your mouse. You don't want them to take the lotion off your desk without asking. All this is staking our claim and making our environment ours. And it really isn't about money. A lot of times you say, well, I don't have the money to do that, especially in our homes. I don't have the money to buy the couch that I like. I don't have the money to do that. But it's not about the money. It's really about ownership. This is mine, staking your claim, familiarity. These are the things that bring me comfort, that make me feel at home, marking our space, and comfort, just plain comfort. These are the things that make me comfortable. Every time I go to an office or in my own personal office, I have a pillow that rests in my back, that lumbar pillow. I have my own personal pillow that I take with me. And I have one in my car too, because my car is my space. And I have a set of boxing gloves from the Ali Museum hanging from my mirror. But those are the things that are important to me and have staked my claim. It's like when you get in your car, even if you're married, my husband's car is his car and my car is my car, and I don't like him to treat my car like it's his car because we have different personalities and we do things different. But you stake your claim. So one of the things that really made this important for me is I come from a military family and we were always moving. So it was so important that when we moved to a new home, when we moved to a new place, even though we lived on the base and we live in base housing, you still had the ability to make that home in some respect yours. So the thing is, what was most important? What is most important to you in your space to make it yours? For me, one of the things was organization. So, organization, if you're one of those people that love things totally organized, a place for everything and everything for a place, if you like cleanliness, and there's a difference between cleanliness and organization. So, you have to know that about yourself. For me, organization and cleanliness kind of go hand in hand. And so, if I don't have cleanliness in my space, if I don't have order in my space, it actually throws me off. Just a simple thing like smudges on my desk will bother me all day until I get a rag, one of those what do you call it? Those cloth rags, and I wipe it down. So now it's all pretty and shiny and everything like that. But that's important to me. Smells. Some people like certain smells in their area. Smells of cleanliness. There's nothing that smell as good as when you've cleaned the house and you smell pine sol or Clorox. Some people don't like it, but I love it. So things like that that makes you feel comfortable and make that home yours. Convenience, having certain things in certain places. I know when I walk into my refrigerator where everything is. I could probably walk around my house with my eyes closed because I know certain things are in certain areas, and that's important to a lot of us. So what's important to you? Is it organization? Is it smells? Is it convenience? Is it cleaning? Those are the things that are best for you to decide in each one of your spaces because it's different in each one of your spaces. How do you like your office? Is totally different how you like your bedroom, how you like the bathroom. They're all different and they're all for different purposes. So then the thing to ask yourself is, what do you want to reflect on? Each room, remember I just talked about that? Each room can have its own personality, the mood that you want to be embodied in that space. So, one of the things that really stuck out to me in that article I was telling you about, well, the many articles that I were telling you about, is it was important for President Biden to walk into the Oval Office that to him looked like a sense of what America was and started to show the landscape of who he was going to be as president. So, when he walked in his office, it was a reflection of him and how he saw the country. And so one of the things he did is with Thomas Jefferson and former Treasury Secretary Alexander Hamilton, he had them hung near each other. So the two men were frequently in real life, they disagreed. He placed them together to illustrate the benefit that comes from listening to different views, that you could work together and still have different views. That was important to him. Another place that we really take a lot of care for is in our bathroom. How our shower is, how the lighting is, how important that is. We have different lightings in our bathroom, and depending on what you're going in there for, it kind of determines which lighting you use. Even the layout of your bathroom. Is there a tub? Is the tub near windows? These are all things that if you have control over, they're important to us. And then one of the things that I know my mother-in-law has and I have is a prayer room, a room that you can go for meditation, for prayer, just to sit in quiet. There's a calmness about that room. And sometimes it's through the colors. Like in my prayer room, it's gray. It has that nice, soft, warm gray. There's a difference between a cool gray and a warm gray. And it has simple furniture in there. Then there's the game room. Totally upbeat. You have games around there. You have games sitting around even as pieces of art. You have tables, different types of tables for different type of things. For us, we have a table that we do puzzles on, another table to sit there and like a cafe table and just play cards or whatever you want. But having that atmosphere of fun and openness and a place for you to gather together and connect and have fun as a family. So how your environment affects your happiness and how your environment affects your personality is all built in your decorations and the way that you lay it out. So let's go back to that happiness things. You know, maybe the word happy is a little bit ambiguous, but let me first define what I'm getting at so you understand where I'm going. What leaves you with a sense of well-being? That's what I mean by happy. You know, is there a favorite chair, a favorite coffee pot, a favorite robe that we always like to put on when we're feeling kind of sad or when we're tired? Maybe this one robe you've had for some sentimental reason or because it's warm and fluffy, whatever it is, this robe is where you go or what you reach for when you need that type of comfort. For me, I have a favorite chair. It's a glider. I've always wanted a glider. I've had it since in the 1990s. I've had it since then, and I still have it, and it's still in pristine condition. But when I want to have that comfort, when I want to just sit there and think, I sit in my glider and I just rock back and forth with my glider. So, what leaves you with that sense of well being? And then, what brings you joy? What lights you up? You know, things with those types of memories, those things that bring you joy, chocolate for me. Oh my gosh, there's something about Linder's chocolate, and you just pop that in your mouth. So sometimes certain foods, sometimes songs, there are times I just want to have certain music. Me and that girl, I don't want to say her name, from Amazon. I just tell her what to play for me, or Siri, I tell her what to play for me. And it's funny how we all call them her, but they are all female voices. I just thought about that. But we have a favorite song list. And then when it really works for us is when we can take those painful memories and begin to reflect on the good that comes from them. So there are some things in our lives that at one time uh, was painful for us, but now we've come to that part where we could remember the good things about it too. So two things I'd like to make an example of. So let's take divorce, for instance. So you think, okay, it was a miserable divorce. He treated me bad. This was horrible. We were always arguing. But then, wasn't there some good in that? Usually, no matter what the situation is, we can find some good somewhere in that. Well, at least I have my daughter. I wouldn't have had her, or at least, I've grown through this and I know now for sure what it is I like and I dislike. Whatever it is, usually we can find something good, at least one or two things good from that situation that we can pull from. And so those are the memories that we can reflect on. The same thing about as hard and painful as death. One of the best things I think they do at funerals is when everyone comes up and shares stories about the person who's deceased, because then you're focusing on the memories and the good things of that person. So there are things that you can put around you to remind you that everything wasn't always painful, that there were good things even coming from that. And that's a hard place to come to, but eventually we will get there about those painful memories in our lives. The other thing is, what puts you in a positive space? We really want a positive environment around us. So, one of the things for me is staring out the window into the sun. My home is littered literally with windows. I love windows. One of the things my husband says is, you just open this whole house up. But I have to. I walk around the home first thing in the morning and I actually open every blind just so I can see the sun and I can see outside. And sometimes I'll just stand there and just look outside. Look at the mountains. That is my peace. That is my positive space. I also surround myself with words because those are the things that I want to remind myself. If you could see right behind me, I have words that say, she is clothed in strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. And that's Proverbs 31:25. But I have that in my office. It is so important. And alongside with that, I have plaques, one that says, be brave, one that says, stand tall, and one that says, never stop growing. And as I walk down the stairs, it talks about faith and faithfulness. And upstairs, it talks about, I can't even remember what that one talks about, but I have words at strategic places all over my home. When you walk into my home, you will see twice the word blessed, because I want to remind myself when I come home every day that I am blessed. I don't want to forget it. And I want people, when they come into my home, to know they are blessed. So that's why that is so important to have. So, what leaves you or puts you in a positive space? And then what leaves you with a sense of satisfaction? Well, a candle that smells like apple pie baking in the oven, or sometimes just having something baking in the oven, that warm, delicious smell of oatmeal bars or cake or whatever is cooking, a turkey, but it smells good and it smells so inviting. And then having this warm, fluffy, inviting couch that you're just ready to plop down on and watch TV or read a good book. And again, like I said, for me, it's order. So find these things, ask yourself these questions. What leaves you with a sense of well being? What brings you joy and lights you up? What puts you in a positive space? And what leaves you with a sense of satisfaction? So now that we've created our happy space, how can your environment actually empower you? How can your environment empower you? Well, let's go back to the article that I saw popping up all over on January 20th about the changes in the Oval Office. The one thing that really stuck out to me the most was that the table behind the president office, I mean, behind his desk, the Resolute desk, was littered with photos of his family. And that was so significant to me because to me, to have those pictures right behind you every day says, my family got my back. My family supports me. Whenever I need to be uplifted or remember my why, all I got to do is turn around and look, and it's my family. So, what was important is the family, the country, and service. Because not only do you look at that as service to your country, but as service to my family, my why. Where your support comes from, your family. Who and what he relied on for centering his family. Who could he count on? His family. So ask yourself, what centers you? What brings you back from spiraling? What diminishes your stress from outside influences? What reminds you of who you are and where you're going? Those are the things that you want to put in that room that you spend the most time. What centers you? But also in that same room, you want to know what calms you. What colors calm you? Make sure you choose colors that gives you that feeling and that sense that you want to embody in that room. And most time you don't want really strong colors. Like you wouldn't want to go in a room of red because you never get that sense of calm when you need it. So what colors calm you? You can also have an accent wall for that pop of color, but you also need to be able to have that space for calmness. What's your favorite music playlist? Have that available. Sometimes you need music for a pick me up so you can just dance and pull joy and empower yourself that way. And then sometimes you need that music to calm you, to center you, to bring you back and candles. And let me tell you what I found. My number one secret when it comes to my environment, I love candles, but one of the things I don't want to do is accidentally forget and leave a candle burning in a room somewhere. So there are certain rooms that I have real candles because sometimes I want that smell. My office is one of them. But before I walk out of the office, I make sure I extinguish that candle. However, I love candles when I walk downstairs in my home. So I have the electronic candles that work wonderful. I have one set Amazon. And actually, I will share that with you in the show notes. But I have one candle that flickers. You can actually set it to flicker. You can set it to be on for a certain amount of hours, and there's a remote control to it. So I have candles when I walk downstairs at night. There's like one, two, three, four, five, six, seven candles going around in two separate rooms that just light up the room. It's an ambiance that I love walking into. And so that's one of the things that I have is my candles. Then you want to ask, what validates you? What proof do you have of your wins and your contribution and your why? What things, whether you have a plaque of an award that you've gotten, or if you have trophies that you've gotten, something to remind you, yes, I have accomplished some things. What are your wins for me? Again, and I'm always using my examples because I can speak to them and they work for me just to give you ideas. So I have a plaque of actually just a picture of my book from 2019, which is Mastering Your Monday, and my book from 2020, which was I'll Make It Through, the book and the journal. And I just have a copy of them behind me, small picture frame, but to remind me these are things that I accomplished 2019 and 2020 and 2019 that I accomplished, things to remind me. And I have a whiteboard that of things that I am working on. And then I have a calendar called 2021 that reflects the things I want to accomplish each month throughout the year. But these are things that validate you, that are proof of your wins and your contributions and your why. This is what I'm working for, what I've worked for, and I see those to remind me of who I am. And then what reminds you, speaking of remind, that the things that remind you that you're not alone, that there are others that strive for the same things, whether it's books in your bookcase that remind you, pictures of other people that are doing the same thing you're doing, whatever it is, what reminds you that you're not in this alone, that you're not alone, what you've accomplished in the past and what you're going to accomplish in the future. Who has gone before you? What pictures of people that are doing something similar to what you want to do, or that you strive to do? Or like I said, in my car I have the gloves from um Muhammad Ali, because I love some of his quotes and his stick to itness and his dedication to make a difference in the world. And there are different people that I have either pictures of them or their books all around my rooms, in different rooms. So those are the things I want to be reminded of. Who has gone before me, have already paved the way to show me that I can do it too. And then those things that just give you the ability to breathe. Yes, those simple things, whether it's, I love flowers. So I always, when the spring comes, all the way to winter again, every week, I treat myself to a bouquet of flowers, and I put them on my table. So again, when I walk downstairs in the dining room, there is a vase of flowers, very important to me. That's my breathe. My candle and the flowers are my breathe. And then the thing to remind you, it's not all about you. Well, I have pictures of my grandchildren all around. What do you have? What's not all about you? What are things that helps you to breathe? What are things to remind you of who's gone before you? What have you accomplished in the past that you want to remind yourself, I've done this, I've made it through this, and I can make it through more? What do you have to remind you that you are not alone? You are not the only one doing this. You are not the only one. There are those that have gone before you, and there are those who will go after you. And most importantly, there are those who are going to go with you. What are the things that you have around you in your space to remind you? And then what excites you? What speaks to your creativity? What sparks your creativity? Is it bright, warm colors? Is it warm temperatures? Do you like to feel warm or do you like to be cool? How have you created the atmosphere in the rooms that you spend the most? And the thing is, it's not just about you. Ask yourself, how do you want others to feel when they enter your presence, when they walk into your environment? Because it isn't about you. Yes, it empowers you, it makes you feel good. But I also hope that these sayings, these things that lift people up, these positive affirmations, I hope that they lift others up too. I have one that I'm looking at right now that says, believe in yourself a little bit more. And I hope that if somebody else's gaze locks onto that, that it lifts them up too. I have things that talk about priorities, faith, boundaries, community, self care. I hope they remind other people who are in my environment of those things too. So, what do you have in your environment that speaks to others? Is it warm and inviting? Is it intimidating? Does it create fear? Is it calm and relaxing? Is it fun and open, where they feel that they are welcome? Each one of these things has an imminent effect on how we progress through our day. A lot of these things change in different seasons of our lives as we grow and develop into a person that we are created to be. But your current environment is just to serve you for a time. So it's so important that we make it work for us in the ultimate capacity. It's for a season and for a time. Now, I hope you remember or can remember some of these things. In fact, if you can't remember them all, go back and listen again. And you can take the show notes. I will have the show notes available for you. But I am so glad that you were able to hang out with me today for our ringside chat. You are amazing. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit subscribe or follow so you won't miss an episode. And one more thing I want you to do, and that is visit masteringyourmonday.com/pathway. And that's where you'll find my goodies and gifts just for you. So make sure to let me know how I can serve you further. And let me know there on masteringyourmonday.com/pathway, because that's the place to do it. Until next time, I hope I've given you something to think about, something to walk away with, and something to take action on. Until next time, take care. I want to thank you for listening to the Mastering Your Monday podcast. I hope you learned at least one tip or technique you can walk away with and implement today. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show, and let us know how much you enjoyed it and what you learned from this episode. We honor your time and your commitment to Mastering Your Monday podcast. And as always, we want to remind you, you are cherished, respected, valued, and in control. See you on the next episode.